Hello. Hi. I think we have very good coverage in the morning, so I will skip a lot of things, but I think I'll tell you more about my stories and how we become who we are today. All right. So I'm the Chief AI Officer. I started from the smart cities. I used to be the Executive Director for technology innovation. We built cities around the world. Meinhardt is a very old company. Generally, it's 72 years of age, 70 years of age, 52 years in Singapore. I think you've seen some of the iconic places like Garden by the Bay, Guoco Towers, Ministry of Defense. Many of the projects, including MRT stations, infrastructure, those were our projects. And we don't just do it in Singapore. We have 65 countries and 6,500 people across the world, right? So very exciting. So I think the last couple of years, you've seen a lot of projects in the Middle Eastern side, Riyadh, in Neom. Many of those were my projects. I mean, I'm part of it actually. Yeah. So very quickly, I'm not an AI expert. I happen to be like Singapore, an accidental AI expert, right? So being in the smart technology side, a couple of years ago, the CEO said, hey, I think we got to take a look at what is this GP thing all about. All right, and Singapore has a lot of grants, and being a large company, we actually push always to the forefront. Just take this, open your mouth and shove in. And the 400 companies that participate in the Google Trailblazer at that point of time. So, part of that time was Deputy Prime Minister Lawrence Wong. He said, I want 100 AI solutions every month. Well, that's a very big, ambitious goal, right? And they do that for 4 cohorts. So I was cohort 2, right? So out of that few hundred solutions, and I think this morning and many of the seminars you hear this 95%, a very famous number right now, 95, because 95% will fail. And true enough, out of 400 people, most of them actually fell through the cracks. And it's quite serious because 2023-24, I think the government has put in $1 billion. That's a lot of money, right? Then 24, they say, let's put 4 billion, right? Actually, now they has a lot more, and I don't even know the numbers. Just a couple of weeks ago, they put in like another $30 billion in Claude. So if 95% of those failures happen, that means we probably on the first year lost $950 million. Okay, those are numbers that wasn't published. So that's where we are. We are one of those teams that succeeded moving from MVP POC to a fully enterprise solution, but the challenge is extremely tough. So scaling problem, I'm going to cover some things. Some things I probably will skip through. Racks. Today we heard a lot about RAGs, right? Racks, right? So I want to talk a bit more also on racks and the type of racks and why we have to move towards graph rack in a highly regulated environment. Governance as an architecture, scaling through the organization, and something I would like to share. People say, hey, I'm worried I'm going to lose my job. So the focus will be on the return on employee, right? How we actually do that. I think we all know where things are moving. Right now, we are all talking about agentic workflows. I think next year, this time, we will be talking agent orchestration. Let's exchange APIs and what we're going to do and so on, and having half our life being run by agents, and our taxi is waiting for us before I even brush my teeth, right? So those are things that possibly will happen very, very shortly in the future. So the scaling problem is that many people has ideas, but how they make it into a kind of a workable solution, right? And there's a lot of misconceptions that cost is very high and so on. The question on buy or build. So we have chosen a build and solution rather than a buy solution. I think that was probably one of the better choice. As we build our models, our platforms, we have changed like 5-6 models. We have done a lot of eval ops. Today, I think we heard someone talk about eval ops as well. I'll share a bit on that. So this is the real figures. A lot of people have launched their pilots, and honestly, very few of them scale to an enterprise-wide solution, and that makes it happen. And out of that, only 17% currently has some form of governance that helps it to work. Actually, in fact, the 70% that has the governance will be the one that will scale by far. So there are two approaches. The bolt-on approach, which many people are doing. Let's look at my current model. Let's bolt on something with some AI workflows and then some agentic stuff, and then we are AI enabled. But there are also a ton of companies, the startups, the SMEs that has some unfair advantage because they're small, they're agile, and AI first enterprise, right? I think today I saw a lot of presentations made by Gamma. Pretty amazing, right? This is partially Gamma, but not full Gamma. I want to show a bit of the human in the loop format, right? So AI first enterprise Gamma, in a short time, I wrote to them a couple of times. I say I want to enable 6,500 people in my company with Gamma with your API. That sounds exciting, right? If it's even $10 a month, that's 65,000 money into their pocket. Guess what? After 3 months, nobody respond to my email. So it shows that they're so big and they're so small. There's no time to handle customer service, right? So this is where I see the bolt-on approach and the AI first enterprise. And internally, we have a couple of workshops with the management. I said, assuming if we take on AI first enterprise, what would we do differently? I think that's a very hard question that we have to ask ourselves, right? Today I have 6,500 people. Basically engineers, we are a wisdom-based company. People pay millions of dollars for 6 to 9 months of our time to design something. But what if tomorrow we can have all this 70 years knowledge, perfectly recorded data, all fully clean, sanitized into AI, and people just pay by the hour, download the AI agent and get the work done, which I actually proved that to my CEO. Okay, how would that change the company? Then I would say, yeah, I think a lot of us will lose their job. Another joke I like to share is that October last year, I tendered my resignation. I said, sir, I don't think you should pay me for the money that I deserve right now, because I used to take 6 months to do this piece of work. Today I do it in 3 hours. So what do you think? I said, if you can do that in 3 hours, now it's your job to make sure that 6,500 people can do that in 3 hours as well. Okay, that's a very tall order. So that's the kind of transformation I'm doing now, right? So what is required to scale? I always say, don't try something so ambitious that you take forever to do, because that's going to kill the budget, and you need to buy, the trust. You need to buy confidence from the stakeholders, from the shareholders, and so on. So find things that you can do it and show impact in a relatively short time. So these are some of the things that I think we probably got it right day one. We were quite fortunate we chose the right topic. So anything that's repeatable deployment patterns has to be, governance in, structured change management, measurable KPIs, and of course you need to review it. So things that we always do, like starting some master plans, having regulations, multidisciplinary, multicultural, multi-country, multi-languages, everything is multi. The moment you put the multi, is expensive, it's difficult to do, and it's challenging and complex. So when the Gen AI is able to understand languages, all right, and the RAGs, we started with vector RAGs. I think everyone here is using vector RAGs and able to have very grounded response. That gives us a tremendous leverage. From here, actually, we happened to just finish, and then we had a big project in Saudi Arabia. I think for those who are following the Giga projects in NEOM, we were involved in that, and 2024, my team was put to audit many of the NEOM projects and have a very hard answer to the MBS, not Marina Bay Sands. Should these projects continue or not? I think that's a very hard question to ask. If I say, sir, you probably have to drop this project and lose $300 billion. Either my head will roll or someone else's head will roll, right? And he specifically chosen Singapore team to do it, my team. And I happen to have my systems ready, our vector graph racks. Vector racks are 100% ready, graph racks are still in production, and 25 terabytes of data came in a day, and we have to swallow all these data in maps, in beam files, in CAD files, in PowerPoints, commercial data, procurement data. And to seriously to do all this, I probably need about 120 people to pull it off. But I only have 3 data scientists, and we pull it off in a couple of weeks or days. And the answers that came out are pretty scary. They are so good that actually they wrote off 500 billion worth of projects. Okay, and that's why you see from NEOM being the line, fantastic future mega cities, to now the future mega data center. Okay, I'm one of those guys that killed a lot of projects and transformed it, and then we reprioritize the work. I'm not going to talk about the projects, but this is what happened. It just happened to have the tool at the right time, so it becomes very important. Okay, this is something I would say future, but it's near future. Agentic AI raises a lot of stakes, because right now you're giving them power, and most scary thing are where the human in the loop are a bit flaky, and you say, yeah, I got someone to check, but what if that someone doesn't check? And that's where we can get very serious trouble, right? Especially for my trade. Today we talk about the highly regulated environment would be the medical industries and the fintech industry, but we are from the construction engineering industries. We are also highly regulated. I can't be asking the LMs and say, what's the size of beam for this building? For first time I asked, they say 26.2 meters. The next time I asked, maybe 26.5 meters. Next time I asked, I think 18 meters would be better. Ask the same question 5 times, 5 different answers. I tell you, you can't use it at all. Totally zero trust, right? So that's why we did not allow any ungrounded systems to be used. No chat GPTs, no Copilot. I'm sorry, So these are where we really have to ensure. And today we heard something, right? Put an LM to check the LM. I think that's important. Okay, you need to put all the rules in. But how do you put all the rules in when my rules comes in terabytes? Where your Copilot, where your Perplexity, ChatGPT give you like the maximum 10 files, right? I have like 25 terabytes of files to check against. It's literally impossible. No one can do it for you. Okay? So the key is that how quickly can I enable 6,000 people? So far, I only enabled about 200 people, but you can see the change in the way they speak, the change in the way they think, and the quality of works that's coming out from 200 people. Can't imagine if we transform 6,500 people, right? I would say 30% efficiency gain is a bit understated. If I can do 6 weeks of work in 3 days, mind you, actually the work is done in 1 day. 2 days is down there checking. I think I'm more stressed checking whether AI is right or wrong. So that's another topic altogether. So this is what I think is very real. And multi-jurisdiction deployment, again, very challenging. Data sovereignty, governance all across the world. Today we talk about one governance, one country. Today now I talk about I have people all over the world, but let's say the project's in Saudi Arabia, I need to have an instance there, I have a data center and fully stored there. And the rules need to be across the world. So I got to read so many books. Okay, RAG and graph RAG. This is something very new. I think if anything that you forget today, this one must remember, okay? So the vectorized RAGs has limitations. These are the traditional RAGs. Those who are experts running it, you probably will know their strengths. It's quite easy to deploy. The pipelines are quite fast and low cost. But unfortunately, it treats information like isolated chunks. So it struggles with things that needs more reasoning. That's why now you have reasoning over reasoning over reasoning. So when you see Perplexity on that research mode, wow, very long. So they don't trust themselves. So they have multiple LMs to check. So you can also do that as well. But that's not the best solution. All right? You still go, things can still go missing. I mean, GraphRag looks very detailed. But what you need to remember is that, it's like crawling into the smallest chunks, into your paragraph, into all the single words and try to understand. So the cost for GraphRag operations is 10 times more than the typical vector RAGs. But you don't need to put everything on GraphRag. Things that is permanently there, like your laws, your regulations, frameworks, blueprints. Yeah, you should go into GraphRag in just one time. That's a one-time cost. You can use it for 1,000 times or 500 times. The cost for query is not high, but the ingestion is extremely expensive. But it's still worth it. Because in a highly regulated environment, you can't afford to sleep, right? So some benchmark, So like I said, you ask the same question 5 times, give you 5 different answers. For GraphRag, the accuracy is a lot better. And if it doesn't know, you tell it doesn't know. Then that's my eval ops first thing. If you do not know, please tell me you do not know, okay? If most systems will tell you they know something, even though they don't. That's the scary part as well, right? So a lot more improvement. I believe those numbers will improve over time. I mean, no one will dare give you 100% or 99%. This is quite conservative. My team actually came out something like above 97%. So then the next question, if today you have vector RAG, graph RAG, then how do you know what to use for what, when, and Brabant? So, this is more cost savings. I want to be efficient, I use vectorized RAGs. If I want to be very detailed, I use my graph RAG, and some I use a hybrid RAG, So these are how we deploy it. So this is the challenge that we always go through. I think today we talk about it. We have data fragmentation issues, compliance risks, multidisciplinary documents, workflows, review cycles, and then knowledge transfers. My engineers come next month, following month disappear. These are typical common industry problems. In fact, a couple of years ago, one of my projects, my submission is almost 10,000 pages of engineering documents. Then my client said, Terence, how am I going to read 10,000 documents. I give you one account from my rack, and then you just ask any questions. And guess what? They never come back. Okay? That means my client is happy, I'm happy, and I don't need to incur my engineering time to serve them. I give you 12 months free access. After that, you pay every question you ask. That makes sense, right? So governance is also very important. I think on the 22nd January, our Senior Minister Josephine Teo has announced Singapore's first agentic AI governance framework, which is quite easy to deploy, quite easy to understand. It should be timeless, not as strict as the European ones. So if you combine the European ones and the Singapore one, you basically have the whole world combined. I've read the Australian ones as well, the Saudi Arabian ones as well. So these two are pretty important. If you are writing a governance paper, I have a cheat sheet. Since I already have a vectorized RAG and a graph RAG system, I put all the world's governance papers inside and then ask what is the best thing I need to do. Give me the topics right down, and I have 150 pages. No one can touch it on, right? So this is the baseline where we can go. I'm not going to explain the governance. I think you guys can read about it. So the framework is important, especially we are dealing with a multidisciplinary, multicultural, multi-territorial projects. We need to ensure a global governance framework is applied to our application and deployment. Of course, there's a cost to it, nothing comes free. So everything has to be bolted on, to be grounded. Your role-based access, I think today we had a session on security. So the same thing, data lineage, the PI reduction, and so on. So just need to take care of this. There's some time, cost. So ensure traceability, auditability. Somebody will walk in one day very soon and ask you, how do you come up with that answer? Okay? So our systems will come, everything grounded. Every line that I say will reference to some documents. Now, I think you probably understand this word. Your LM comes with some pre-trained knowledge, right? What is pre-trained knowledge? And this is the problem I'm still trying to solve. You can help me, you can kind of speak to me later. So when you adopt a model, where from Gemini, from OpenAI, from DeepSeek, they do come with billions of parameters of pre-trained knowledge, right? Until recent times. So I can get all my answers grounded, maybe up to 95%, but there's still 3 to 5%. The LM will try to answer with their pre-trained knowledge. And this is the part where we need to differentiate what is pre-trained knowledge. Okay? How can you assume that the pre-trained knowledge from OpenAI or DeepSeek or Gemini is correct? I mean, I've already seen some documents, questions I ask, and I see that the answers are not correct. And it's scary. I prefer GPT 4.0 from some time ago, GPT 5.2, now 5.4, and so on. And just be very mindful that AI slop is coming in. So whatever they ingest could be their own garbage, and I tell you, don't trust it. So my system is 100% clean. Everybody needs to check every single piece of data they ingest, and then they work based on that. It's uninterrupted, no access to the open internet, just to keep it safe. Timeline to do. Vectorized RAGs is easy. A graph RAG took me almost 6 months to get it up. Maybe with today's tools, it can be faster. Agentic RAGs coming. That will take also a bit longer as well. So how to scale up? So I think just now you saw from Eileen, companies that has all this architecture ready, I think it's easy and faster to scale up. It's okay, tell your boss it takes a bit longer to build up the foundational stack. Don't rush through that. You rush through that, I think you will fall flat. So again, the value captured versus organizations without defined models. This one very subjective. These numbers are from McKinsey. So you just ask yourself, if I can cut down 6 weeks of work down to 1 day and 2 days for my boys to check, it's definitely more than 4 times, right? So really depend on kind of work. And people say the computation cost expensive. Retail, yes. Every time you ask, what pizza should I buy? I think it costs you a few cents already. OpenAI will make more money, take a piece of your revenue before you sell anything. So, but in cases where revenue models, profit margins are high and you need a lot of wisdom and compute power, then I think this cost is nothing. Okay, I do check on all my users. I built a tokenization page to know how much who is using what. So that will tell me which team are more advanced. We're not putting a penalty. In fact, we want to reward people who use AI. Okay, that's part of my model as well. Oops, am I running out of battery? I can't go next page already. Yeah, can you do for me? Next. Yeah. So 80-20 discipline. What does it mean? So we always want to explore new things. So I have a separate team to explore new things. Currently, I have 3 teams, only very small team, compared to DBS with 37 platforms, they call it. It's very exciting. They are my goal standard. And then 80% to scale and deploy solutions. This 20%, if I can give it more, I give it more, because this is where you discover the gold mine. So I met some engineers. I just shared a story. It was a couple of days ago. They said, "Hey, I need to have an agent to script this web page to read what our competitors are quoting, what tenders are coming out at what price they're closing, and the data get published and disappear every 30 days. And in order for us to beat the next tender, we need to know what's the price, who's winning at what kind of prices, to give a more competitive quote that we have a better chance, right? We just lost one bid 2 days ago because my competitor quote 1.2 million and we quote 1.37 million. Comparatively small project in a scale of my work, but then again, we could have won it if we know that the price is around there. And right now, my team is put together in 48 hours, put an agent up there, script their site, create a report for them, and tell them, send email to them when this price, this competitor is playing. And then eventually, a year later, we will have a map of all the players in the market, competitors, what projects they have won, what price they have win, the projects and so on, and give them ultimate supermarket intelligence to win the next project. That's it. Hey, can you build the 4D and Toto one for me or not? Okay, yeah. So I put one European bank here with 14 key generative AI components. Actually, the winner is DBS Bank, and I'll share another story that later, right? So I don't really care about fear of job displacement because initially I think this is just a buzzword. Yeah, I'm sorry about India. Contact centers, you are losing the jobs to AI. That is true. You can't run away from it, but I hope you can find better work to do that suits your capabilities. So most importantly is how you can report higher value of work. I think most of my staff who has been bridged with AI. So we have an AI bridging team to tell them, hey, AI is great for you. Take this vitamin, tomorrow you'll be superpowered, right? So the more you use, the better you become, And these people are more inspired, and they're very happy to work. And I think they now look more like go-getter. I think, like supercharged with steroids. And I will never look down on people who use AI or look generic, you never think through. No. How well you package. Focus on your presentation, your stakeholder engagement skills, which is very important, right? Be very real, be true. And that's the real value that you need to do. So augmentation, not replacement. DBS, I think they saved $1 billion, 2025, purely on the AI orchestration. 2024, they saved $750 million. And I think it will not stop. 37 platforms, 200 people, 80 data scientists. It's definitely a force to be reckoned with. And I think they have laid down some very good learning examples. Yesterday, I was with this lady, Monisha. She's Microsoft today in the Microsoft Fabric. She's ex-DBS. She's one of the founders for this, and we had such a good exchange. I think for some of you building a center of excellence for AI, this is where we, centrally govern, have the tools enablement, but you decentralize the teams. Don't take all upon yourself. All people will not like you. Make all the team leaders a stakeholder. Make every single one an AI lead. Just go there and quietly enable them, and you can build a lot of exciting agents. Yeah. So I don't want to talk about ROI. Again, most CEOs, stakeholders, shareholders are asked about ROI. Let's focus on return on employee. How much more productive can they be? If seriously they can finish the work at 4:30 or 3 o'clock, go home. And then the quality of work is there. Let's have a more balanced life. I think this should be the greatest reward, right? So the whole focus right now, the matrix that we have will be on this ROE. Look at productivity gain, return per dollar, and there are different measures for that. Operational tier, how long it takes to make good decisions, how much less problems you have to solve, right? Return on revenue per employee, customer lifetime value, your strategic tier, the innovation pipeline, employee satisfaction, market response. I mean, look at these numbers here. I don't think anyone will lose their job because of this. All right, and people should be happier and focus on that. So AI-enabled staff should be a happier staff. I hope that, because I got stressed by AI also. When AI give me 500 pages to read, I have to read line by line. I feel like a teacher there marking a student's paper, and you know the paper is so good, and you're just trying yourself. The first thing you do is that this AI is wrong. Okay, is this correct? Is this wrong? Line by line. It's very tough, very challenging. Okay, so then I have a key matrix to track for everyone using my systems. We actually know what their usage rate, like I said earlier. You know, adoption per department, the measure usage ratios, and how long they stay on this. So I think these are the key figures. So don't stop, don't go and charge your department. Okay, now you use 1 million token. Okay, this month I charge you $10,000. Don't do that. I think for a start, you know, have just observation. Let them come back to you, say this is amazing too. I want to pay for it. Which I actually got this from some of my country leads. They said, hey, your AI has helped us a lot. We have win some new customers, and in fact the customers are happy. Allow us to share our contribution to make it even better. And that is actually music to my ears. Yeah. So on closing summary, 3 takeaways for me. Architecture determines your skill, right? The rack, the graph rack, the governance. And governance has to be treated like an infrastructure as a requirement. Without this, don't scale. Okay, and then we measure the return on employee, not just ROI. Thank you so much.